Susan is in West Sussex and has been waiting patiently to get her voice on the air. Susan, you're very welcome. Good afternoon. What would you like to say?
Hello, Peter. I was listening to Matthew. I love listening to him. He talks so much sense.
He's a great guy. He rings us every now and again. Matthew in Cheshire. He's great, isn't he?
He's knowledgeable. And
yeah, I like him.
Far more knowledgeable than me. But what I think is that we need a Prime Minister that's there for the people. We haven't got one. I didn't realise until the other week the Conservatives have got so many sections in that they're not just all one party.
No, they're all Conservatives, but they're all these little groups inside them. The One Nations, the New right, Conservatives, yeah.
Liberal.
Yeah.
But how can you run a country and a government if you've got all different views like that?
Well, every party's a coalition, Susan. Everybody has all sorts of different competing constituency things, what they think themselves and so on.
I know, but they're not there for the people, Peter.
Who do you think would be there for the people? Who would you like to see as Prime Minister? You can have anybody you like, Susan. Who would you like?
Nigel.
Okay. Are you going to vote for him tonight? I'm a Celebrity?
Oh, yes, yeah, Nigel. I don't agree with all his views, but he speaks to the truth, he's honest, and he's there for the people.
Okay. Okay, Susan, thank you.
When you think how he fought for us when he was coming out of the EU...
Yeah.
You know, and all what he said is coming true about immigration. And I like Nigel. I like Lee Anderson. All the ones that speak up for the people.
Do you think now, big important questions, final question, Susan. Do you think Nigel Farage is going to win I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here?
I don't know, because Tony, I like Tony.
Right.
I like Tony. Sam drives me mad.
Okay.
Oh, I couldn't bear to be with Sam. But Tony, I think if he gets to the third, if he comes in, he's done very, very well. Very well. I like Nigel.
Are you enjoying the series?
I did get a little bit nervous for Nigel when they weren't being nice to him, and they were cutting him out of things, and I thought people weren't being nice to him. But he's lovely though, Nigel. He's nice.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Susan. Thank you for your comments. Final call of the day comes from Nikki, who is in Dorchester. Nikki, how are you doing? Thanks for waiting. What would you like to say?
Oh, hello, Peter. Now, it concerns, well, Rwanda.
Yeah.
And the number of illegal migrants crossing the channel per day. Now, it's been bandied around this figure of 200.
Yes. This is the number of people who are going to go to Rwanda, between 200 and 500.
Right. Well, that won't take long to fill.
No, it won't.
So is Rwanda going to have to build accommodation, holding centres, etc., and who's going to finance that? Because this finance that we're giving Rwanda...
Well, we've already given them a heck of a lot of money.
Yeah, and there'll be more to come. Because what's going to happen when it gets to 500? Are Rwanda going to shut the gates?
Well, apparently that's how it's got to start, Nikki. But we'll see what happens. Listen, thank you so much. It's actually not the final call, so I definitely want to talk to Lynn in Manchester. Lynn, what happened with you? We're talking about funerals, and we've had a lot of people who have been letting us know their stories. What's your story, Lynn? You're welcome to the programme, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. My mum died, sadly, during November 2020 during lockdown.
I'm sorry to hear that, Lynn.
Thank you. I wasn't able to go and visit her in hospital when she was ill, or I wasn't allowed, because of the rules, allowed to go and see her in the funeral directors. But I got a call a few days before I was due to scatter my mum's ashes from my local council, and they were telling me, I know there were £30 to scatter my mum's ashes. Now, I know it's nothing compared to what that lady...
Hold on. Where were you going to scatter them?
Well, I live in Manchester, but my local council, the crematorium comes under Rochdale Council. And
right, but where were you actually going to scatter these ashes?
Well, in the Garden of Remembrance, where...
Right. And they're going to charge you to scatter the ashes?
Yes, they charge
£30. Sorry, my mind is boggled here. You're scattering your mother's ashes and they were going to charge you £30 to do so?
Yes, I had to pay £30, otherwise they wouldn't scatter my mum's ashes.
That is, and you were scattering them yourself, obviously. You were there, and that was what you were doing. You're saying your final goodbye.
Yeah, I was, yes.
That's outrageous.
I know, it makes you want... I mean, like I said, it's compared to... I think the lady was called Anne, who had to pay to visit.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
I know it's quite a trivial amount.
No, it's not. I mean, it's not. Look, it's £30 too much, Lynn, and this is astonishing. I mean, look, it's obviously less than £400 and less than the £200. You're absolutely right, Lynn. But it doesn't make it any less bad. It doesn't make it any less immoral, I think.
I know. But I don't know whether it's just that council or councils all around the country.
What's the name of the council again?
Well, even though I live in Manchester, but I come under Rochdale Council.
Okay. Goodness me. All right. Well, listen, we're going to look into the. Anthony is in Leeds. Just want to put a quick call in just before the break. Anthony, you're very welcome. What would you like to say?
Yes, I'd like to say about the miners' strike in the 1980s and how the police treated the miners then.
So this is coming into how protests and so on are police and two-tier policing. What's your perspective on this?
Well, I think it's disgusting how the miners are treated in the 80s and these people treated different.
So it should all be straightforward. We're all supposed to be equal before the law, Anthony, aren't we?
Yeah, of course they are. What gets me, they're not protesting about what's happening in the Middle East. There's been problems in the Middle East since the Roman times. They're protesting about this country. What we're facing this country now is the second battle of Britain. That's what we're facing now.
Sean in Northampton has given us a call. He supports Rishi Sunak's policy on Rwanda. Amazing. 9 days in, we finally found someone. Sean, you're very, very welcome to the programme. You're on with me, you're on with Andy, you're on with Samantha as well. What would you like to say? Why is it such a good idea?
I just think everyone's underestimated. I think it's gone past the Rwanda bit now. This is now Rishi Sunak taking on the judges and taking on all the people that don't seem to think that the Prime Minister should run the country. So I think they've got a lot of that involved with it now. But I also know so many people, I've not spoken to anyone, actually, us basic working class type people, I've not spoken to anyone that doesn't think that to bang them on a plane to Rwanda the minute they get to our shores is wrong. And I'm listening to your two commentators there, which I was enjoying, until that bloke said that the BBC was the best news in the world. That turned me off him a bit, but...
Well, you're still listening now, at least on the phone anyway. But Sean, just back to the main point. Tell me about the Rwanda plan itself. I mean, do you think it's going to work as a plan if it goes through Parliament on Tuesday?
I think if it goes through Parliament and if the Tory members start to support the Prime Minister, I think many people will be surprised how popular that is in the country. I know it's not particularly large numbers, but if you could get the next 50 that come across in a boat and put them on a plane and take to Rwanda, that would send one hell of a message, more than anybody else has done, ever.
Sean, I actually think you're right. And we had a caller yesterday who said what they should do is not just do it by processing, say, the sort of almost random way. They should literally say, right, from this date, the 300 next people, whoever they are, male, female, whatever, children, whatever, whoever they are, will go to Rwanda. But the policy itself is that it will generally be single adult males. They're not going to send families, so that probably won't work and won't be part of the scheme.
When do you see? How many ladies and babies do you see in them boats?
Well, not very many, but there are some of them.
It's all young men, like you said so many times before. They come over here with their telephones. They're not escaping war, 90% of them. Yeah, Rwanda's not at war, okay? And it's just about time now that this country grew up. Okay, I think, like I say, your two commentators are great to listen to, but I honestly don't think they've got a clue of public opinion. The public opinion in this country now is stop it now. Yep. It really is.
I agree. I think I agree with you, Sean, that there is a lot in there in terms of stopping the boats. I think it should be done. I think immigration absolutely needs to be sorted out. I think Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak agree on that. It's just the methods of how to do it. And a lot of people see this Rwanda scheme as good money after bad, hundreds of millions of pounds of taxpayers' money. And we've only actually sent 3 people to Rwanda, Priti Patel, Ciala Braverman and James Cleverly, and they've come back.
Yeah, but why? We've only sent 3 because the judges in Europe, our judges over here, left-wing...
But that's the rule of law. That's the courts. That's the Supreme Court. Are you really going to say that they should be defied, Sean?
This is the point I'm trying to make to you now. I voted for Tories, and I'm a 65-year-old guy who grew up thinking we were run by the country that got elected. I didn't know that every time a lawyer down some high street in Tooting or something decided he could find one little reason not to let the plane take off, they could wield so much power. And I think if anything needs adjusting, it's that. We're a sovereign country. He's the Prime Minister. The public have a referendum tomorrow. And 95% of people would say, get them out.
Sean, thank you. Well, on the BBC, Anne has given us a call from Surrey, 0344 499 1000. Anne, you're very welcome to the programme. What would you like to say?
Well, I'm 87. I paid my licence fee up to the time I was 70. Now I'm having to pay again for all the programmes I've seen before. That they realise that us elderly people, that's all we can rely on is decent programmes on the telly. When I turn one on, I've seen it before. What a waste of money. You know, they don't seem to realise that the elderly people rely on their television.
Yeah, of course. And if you're 87, Anne, you will have had a period where you got a free TV licence.
Yeah, I did.
And then you had to pay again.
Yeah, now I've got to pay again, but I've seen all the programmes anyway.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. There does.
Should I pay again?
Well, do you? Is there anything on the BBC you think is really good?
Well, thank you so much. It's a super programme. I watch it every day.
What is, sorry?
I said you're a...
Oh, our programme. Oh, great. Well, thank you. That's very kind, Anne, and I'm glad that you're a TalkTV fan. But is there anything on the BBC you think is even worth a couple of quid? Because one thing I thought is there's a way when you pay for music, for example, on iTunes, you can pay, I think it's 79p or something like that, or 99p for... I
haven't got any modern equipment to do anything else, but... No. They're going to spend 14.5 million on new studios, and we're expected, as pensioners, to pay for it, really, I presume.
But yeah, well, you're right, Anne. I mean, it'll come out of the licence fee, £14.5 million. Yeah, listen, thanks very much.
If they're going to spend the money, then give us some decent programmes to watch, not ones we sit here with the blank screen because there's nothing to watch, because we've seen it before.
Well, keep it tuned to Talk TV, and thank you very, very much indeed. Appreciate your thoughts on that. 87, I hope I make it to 87, and I'm nearly as articulate as Anne. That would be a great thing. Lorraine in Birmingham wants to talk about Boris Johnson. Lorraine, you're very welcome to the programme. What would you like to say?
Well, did Boris leave or retire because of COVID? Not retire, actually resigned.
Yes.
Yeah. Did Hancock resign because of COVID?
Oh, would he return? Would all of them come back? I don't think Boris Johnson's going to voluntarily work with Dominic Cummings anytime soon.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't have one role for one and one role for somebody else. I mean, Boris has always been playing dictator, you know, like do as I say, not as I do during COVID.
What did you think of him this week, Lorraine? Were you convinced by his answers?
No. No, not at all. No. He just done his wormy bits like he does all the time, and he has done, and he's bumbling along. Now, he's done enough. Sometimes during COVID and that last, he was spinning his feet. He wasn't quite sure what was actually going on, and that last, he made some mistakes. But then other countries did the same. I mean, if China told us what was going on the year before, or all over the world would have been prepared for it. But China hid information, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Lorraine, there's a lot of questions in terms of China's role here, and of course, patronising Hugo Keith, that barrister, senior barrister, the one who went, Mr. Cummings, slow down. I'd have smacked him. No, I wouldn't. I don't advocate violence. But he's the guy who always says that he was the one who said to Boris Johnson the questions this week, and said to Michael Gove that we couldn't talk about the origins of the COVID virus because it wasn't in the scope of the inquiry. Well, I think we probably should. Maybe it should be in the scope of the inquiry. Although Boris Johnson, of course, this week was saying, well, I want to talk about this and I want to talk about that. He's the person who came up with the terms of reference, as Heather Hallett, Baroness Hallett, actually put forward.
Hi, good afternoon, Peter.
Hiya.
For me, the Conservative Party is stuck in the Cameron era now, and they need a total purge like they did when Boris Johnson took over. And I'm talking not just the MPs, some of the advisors need to go. I'm not sure if Linton Crosby's still there, but...
He's not, although his mini-me actually is a guy called Isaac Levido, sort of bearded Antipodean Svengali, who basically was the person behind the 2019 election for Boris Johnson. So, I mean, it's interesting. The Conservative Party has changed a heck of a lot in the last 13 years, but you think, Matt, it's actually regressed back to the kind of Cameroon style?
Totally. I mean, the only people that understand the electorate are... There are talented people in there that people like Priti Patel, Suella, Edward Lee, and then there are people like Jonathan Gullis, Anthony Higginbottom. There are loads of young Tory MPs that understand the electorate, but the arrogant, conceited, I'm not being classist, but I will say middle, upper class, long-term Tories, still have a grasp on the party. They're too arrogant to let go of it.
But actually, sorry to interrupt you, Matt, but actually that part of the party may be what's left, because so much of the red wall will probably go in the next election. A lot of those MPs will find it very... I mean, I'm thinking of places like there's a constituency in Northumberland, for example, that has a majority of 721. There are others that are smaller. A lot of the red wall will go. So actually, often the bit of the party, the Conservative Party that you seem to like, Matt, may actually be gone at the next election.
I don't believe that, Peter. I think a lot of the people in the North East and the North West who are happy with their individual MPs, like Lee Anderson and Jonathan Gullis, I think they will keep their MPs.
So the personal vote will come through. That'll be a very important thing.
I just think that they just literally will not let go of the past. They've got this total idealistic view that their views are more important than everyone else's, and this has gone on now since Johnson went. He wasn't doing a particularly good job himself. They all deserve to go, and I hope that what I say happens, because then we will see that how totally out of touch they are with the working classes who offered them their loyalty.
Do you genuinely think, final question, Matt, do you genuinely think that, let's say for the sake of argument, look, I was at Conservative Party conference a few weeks ago, most popular person by a country mile was Suella Braverman, no doubt about that, with the membership. If she somehow gets to the final two, if she becomes leader of the Conservative Party, there are a lot of people, often, sometimes viewers and listeners of this station, I'm not saying everybody's the same, of course we're not, who would be very much in favour of her being the leader of the Conservative Party and perhaps Prime Minister. But do you think she could carry the rest of the country with her? Do you think that, like Boris Johnson, she could reach areas that other people hadn't? Like, actually, David Cameron in 2015, she could reach areas that others didn't. Tony Blair in 1997. Do you think that could happen, Matt?
I genuinely believe that old ladies like her, people in the 40s and 50s like her, but they won't allow it, Peter. People like you need to go back in, as advisors, people who have common sense, people with brains, all these people who have absolutely no idea what's going on outside London are basically responsible for the demise of the Conservative Party.
Goodness me. Well, Matt, thank you very... Sorry, we've just got to end it there, Matt, but I know we'll talk again, but I really, really appreciate your thoughts. In 15 seconds, Alicia, what do you make of what Matt said there?
You should go and be the Prime Minister, clearly. I think that's what he was going for. He's got a point, but as you said, I think that people like Suella Braverman may well appeal to the Conservative Party membership.
She has a constituency.
She does, but wider in the country, we've got to look at lots of other people who are really, really actually anti-Suella Braverman and what she stands for, so it'll be interesting to see how the numbers play out with that, because it is just a numbers game ultimately.
2024 is not going to be boring, and the good news is that we at TalkTV have a great political team that are going to cover the whole lot of it. Mike is in York and is giving me a call on 0344 499 1000. Hello, Mike.
Good morning, Peter. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Good to talk to you. What do you want to say about the BBC licence fee?
Well, if I may quote Nadine Dorris, they know the price of everything, the posh boys, and the quality of nothing.
Yeah.
And those people outside here must be their children.
Mike, are you still there?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, just go ahead.
Well, the point being, Peter, is that a licence fee now is 1 week's pension. And for the guy to say that it's only £3 a week, some people, I'm fortunate enough to be on the higher pension rate. Some people are on a lesser pension rate. And £3 a week is a lot of money to pay for something that you don't watch. But secondly, they mentioned Netflix going up and whatever.
Yeah.
My internet contract, I get Netflix free.
You get a free?
So I don't pay anything for Netflix.
It all mounts up, though, doesn't it? And there are all these sorts of people saying, oh, it's only a little bit of money. It's only a little bit and a little bit and a little bit all adds up. And if you're going up by above the rate of inflation and paying another 10 quid a year or whatever it is, that is, 170 quid a year for a licence fee for something that often a lot of people don't watch a lot of the BBC, but they can't watch live TV legally if they don't have that. It's very frustrating to a lot of people, Mike. You sound frustrated by it.
The other thing is I buy a TV licence. to watch a TV, and I don't watch BBC, because I think it is rubbish. Do
you not watch it at all, Mike? You don't watch a single thing?
I don't know. If I want to get some good news, it's Bloomberg is a good one.
Right.
But the other thing is, it's a TV licence. So why am I cross-subsidising a load of radio stations? I'm no interest in listening to the tickle-tackle and all the rubbish that they put on. Why am I cross-subsidising radio, the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra? The list goes on of people that have got their noses in the trough for being well paid to do nothing.
Okay, Mike, thanks for your thoughts. Hard to disagree with quite a lot of that. Craig is in Yorkshire. Craig, I think we rang us on the same topic. It's good to talk to you this morning. What would you like to say?
I did, Peter, and good morning, and thanks for the call back. And yeah, I agree with the last caller, but in particular, I just feel very sad that the way the BBC has gone in the last few years. I lived overseas, and I used to tell people, how proud I was at that time of the organisation and the outputs, but today it's a different story. But I think there are a few things that could be done with regards to the licence fee. If the licence fee must persist, then cost needs to be reduced. So one thing that they could do would be to reduce the daytime schedule.
Yeah.
Bring back the test card. Why?
Bring back the test card. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, why do people need to watch me when I look at the schedules? I mean, I'm at work, I don't watch it, but even people today buy TV sets, there's access to catch-up services. They can watch iPlayer to watch last night's EastEnders. They don't need to watch some Homes Under the Hammer or location program. Why is it there? I don't see the point of it, to be honest. The people should be...
Some people like Homes Under the Hammer. My dad's a big fan of Homes Under the Hammer, it must be said. He watches it quite a lot. And and his mystery female companion, who I'm not allowed to mention, sometimes chimes in with some of the little phrases, that they use and so on. So I think she enjoys it as well, Craig. Is there nothing... Sorry?
Well, to be fair, I think there's also a redistribution option that could be looked at. So in the way that the licence fee does pay for part of Channel 4, that could be removed, and instead it could be steered towards commercial broadcasters who are struggling. I mean, you look at the output for older people. So my parents, in our house when I was growing up, we had Radio 2 on all the time. They don't listen to it now because they think it's more like Radio 1.5 than Radio 2. So there's no output for older people on BBC whatsoever. So they've moved to Boom Radio, and that could be part funded by the licence fee because the BBC have just completely abandoned the older listener.
Craig.
And a portion of that could come your way as well to help you to reduce your output.
I will happily take any money that anybody wants to give me in any respect.
Exactly.
I'm joking. Don't send me hundreds of pounds, please don't. I know you want to. Don't send me hundreds of pounds, Craig. Is there anything on the BBC that you watch or listen to? Is there anything at all that you like?
There's the documentaries, the Planet Earth 3 or whatever's on a Sunday
David Attenborough stuff.
Those are stunning, and I think there is a place for the BBC, and maybe if the licence fee went, it could be part funded out of central government. So
did you ever have a career in broadcasting, Craig?
No.
You've got a really good voice, and you speak. You're very articulate. I think you could have a future in broadcasting. I just wondered if you'd work for the BBC yourself, or you'd work for a broadcaster.
No, well, right? A little story. I moved to Hong Kong in 1991 straight from Yorkshire, and nobody could understand me.
My
accent had to change, and it's never gone back.
Try coming from Northern Ireland. There are many words people don't understand. Craig, thank you very, very much indeed. Much appreciated.